Hi, you're listening to This Is Not Your Practice Life. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friends. I'm a certified life and emotional intelligence coach. And if you really want to step into your highest self, there are a few non-negotiables you're going to have to learn, and I am just the person to help you do it. No matter your past, I'm here to help you create a more fulfilling future. So stick around with me. Not only will I teach you how to navigate your brain's daily mind drama, but I'll help you actually understand your mind, your emotions, why you do the things you do, and why others do the things they do. Most importantly, I'll help you build the self-awareness skills to create whatever results you want. It's never too late to change the trajectory of your life. After all, this is not your practice life. Hello, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. My name is Macy, and I am so excited that you're joining me today. If you're a brand new listener, welcome to the podcast. And if you're a returning listener, as always, you know I am grateful and thankful and all of the things for you. Thank you so much for coming back. With that being said, if you are a new listener, just know that today's episode will be a little bit different and that I'm going to be reflecting on a program that just wrapped up and what that experience was like, not only building it, but executing it, and what the retreat was like, because we did an in-person retreat, the first one I've ever hosted in 5 years of being in business. It was a 4-year-long dream. It was a year of planning, and we just finished the execution of it this past week. So I want to reflect on that. So if you're looking for the meat of the podcast and you're looking for more of the topics that are really going to help you dive deep, I recommend going back to the very beginning of the podcast and getting to know me a little bit and, just going kind of in order of each episode, because the episodes do build upon each other. However, if that's not your jam and that's not really why you're here, you can bounce around to any of the topics that just relate to maybe something that you're going through or struggling with right now. And that's totally fine as well. Use the podcast however you need to use it. I've just been told it's very helpful to go back from podcast number 1 and work your way through. All right, you guys, so I am so excited to talk about the hybrid experience, what the program was like, what the retreat was like. We're going to dive into all of it. And with that being said, just know if you've been watching this program closely, enrollment for the next round, I'm actually crazy enough to do this again. It's a lot of work on my part, but I want to just see if it's something that people continue to benefit from. So I don't know if there will be many rounds after this. I don't know if this will be the last one or if there, will be more. But as of right now, you can join the second round, which starts October 3rd, all the way up until September 23rd, which is this coming Saturday. So if you're listening to this podcast as soon as it comes out, as of right now, September 19th, you have 5 days to enroll into the next round, and we would absolutely love to have you. So if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to reach out and ask them. You can even schedule a consult if you want to talk about it over the phone, okay? All right, let's dive in. I'm so excited. All right, so I want to start by talking about why I created the program, the hybrid experience, and really how this came about and what exactly it means. So for anybody that might not be super familiar with what I do, I'm an emotional intelligence coach, and emotional intelligence is basically your awareness around your emotions, how you regulate your emotions, and how you create that safety inside of your body when uncomfortable emotions arise. It's how you navigate your life. And when we have uncomfortable emotions surface up in our body, a lot of times what we tend to do is we recluse, or we have lack of impulse control where maybe we react poorly and then we regret our decisions later, or we show up smaller in the world than we know we're capable of. Emotions impact everything that we do. So when you're working on emotional intelligence, what you're really working on is what happens inside of you when life is not being the most kind or the most convenient. And as a result, it betters your relationship with yourself. And in turn, that better relationship you have with yourself, the more confidence you have, the more self-love you have, the better relationships you will have in your life with anyone and everyone else, right? That could be a romantic partner, that could be in your job, that could be in your friendships, etc., etc., your family members. So it's a huge skill to work on because our emotions really do drive every action we take or don't take in our life, and every action you take or don't take in your life ends up creating a result. So our emotions are a very important aspect of how we get from where we currently are to where we actually want to be in our life and who we really want to be in our life. So I have been coaching for 5 years. I have been a client myself of coaching for 7 years. And some of the biggest work I've done personally as the client is work on my emotional intelligence, work on getting better with feelings. And as a result of doing that, it has helped me become the woman that you all see now, the woman who at one point didn't think she'd ever have a podcast, to the woman who is close to 200 episodes of the podcast almost, 3-4 years later. It's allowed me to be a business owner. It's allowed me to build my business to 6 figures. It's allowed me to be a better wife and a better daughter and navigate family complications better, be a better sister, all of the above, right? So I am who I am today and where I am today because emotional intelligence takes priority in my life. I am always focused on how I'm feeling and what's going on for me, and I'm using that information and the tools that I've learned over the years to create the life that I really want for myself and manage my emotions in the process. So as someone who's been coaching for 5 years, I've coached thousands and thousands of hours, hundreds and hundreds of clients. And what brought this program about was having a lot of one-on-one coaching sessions the last few years where my clients would come to me and they would say, I just feel like I'm working so hard on myself and the people around me or closest to me in my life don't understand. This feels like a very isolating, lonely journey. I feel like I'm the only person that thinks this way. None of my family or friends gets it. They think that, what I'm doing in coaching is, this or that. Like they don't get it. It's hard to relate to people. I can't seem to find people who value growth and want to be better. And these were just the narratives I was constantly hearing from my clients, right? My clients are women that maybe want to start businesses, or they know that they have more inside of them than they're living up to. And a lot of times they're surrounded with people in their life that have a lot of doubts whenever they share their dreams, or they think that the work that they're doing on themselves is silly, or, they just don't understand it because sometimes the people in our life are not on the same page. They don't want the same things as you. They don't understand the value of working on yourself and growing and how that impacts everything else. It's a trickle effect, right? Or a ripple effect. So the story that I kept hearing was basically, I feel alone in this journey. But as the coach coaching them, I would coach a client, I would hear them share what their quote unquote problem was, what challenges were coming up for them. And then I'd get off the call with them and I'd go on the next one-on-one coaching call with my next client who basically had a similar version of the same story. And also the narrative that it felt very lonely and they wished that there were other women that they could relate to who felt the same way. And I would get off that call with that client, go to the next one-on-one call with that client, and again, another very, very close version of what they were going through, what they were feeling, and this lonely kind of isolating feeling. And P.S., I know this feeling very well because I have felt alone at different parts of my journey. When you're growing and the people closest to you in your circle are not doing this work, it does feel very lonely and isolating. And even if you're trying to pull your people into your world and just express what you're doing, even if you're not, needing them to do the same thing, you're just wanting to share it with them, a lot of times you get that blank stare where they really don't get it unless they're doing it. So, it does feel sometimes very isolating, very lonely, and you want some people in your corner that get it because you want to be able to crack wide open and be vulnerable and share all of these things you're learning with other people. So I collected this information For a good probably year and a half to 2 years, I really did stall on creating anything new in my business so that I could get really, really dialed in and really, really good at what exactly my clients were struggling with. And I also, during this time, ended up picking up a contract position for my coach. My coach brought me on into her company and wanted me to coach her people. And she works with all business owners. They are all coaches. They are scaling their business from $200,000 all the way to $1 million. And so I got into her container and I started noticing patterns within my clients who come from all walks of life, all careers. They vary so much in maybe what they do for a living, to my coaches container where all of them are business owners, all of them are coaches. And I started seeing patterns between both. I started seeing patterns between my own clients. I started seeing patterns within her clients, and all of it came down to how they are carrying their self through emotionally. Every time a business struggle came up or every time a personal struggle came up, my coaching was always the same in what they really needed to dial in and focus on, what skills they needed to master, what they needed to be aware of in their mindset, what kinds of things were happening in their system to give them the result they were seeing. So it didn't matter if I coached someone who was close to making $1 million. It didn't matter if I was coaching someone who was struggling to make money in general. It didn't matter if it was a stay-at-home mom. It didn't matter if it was this big wig, person that is the breadwinner of her family. It didn't matter. It always came down to some of the same coaching things, no matter where I was coaching or who I was coaching. And so here I am, coaching on the same things over and over and over again, even though I have a full kind of, roster of completely different people. And here I am hearing the same similarities and problems that they're having. And that is where the hybrid experience program really started to come together for me in my mind. I started thinking about myself when I was a client and what had helped me the most in my coaching journey. And the truth was, one-on-one coaching helped me because someone was able to see directly my brain into my problem, call me on my BS, and help me turn it around quickly. But I also benefited greatly from group coaching because I loved being able to hear other women's stories, learn very quickly from their own blind spots, and practice vulnerability, getting coached with women that I didn't really know. Like, that was huge for my growth, being in a group coaching setting. And then I got to reflecting on my experience at the retreats, which were like hyper speed growth experiences when you're placed in a house with women that you really don't know, right? For me, it was different in that I didn't do coaching programs with the women that went to the retreats, not all of them. For me, the experience was most of them were strangers to me. Most of them I had never met. And the discomfort of rooming with someone or being in a house with someone that you barely know, but then cracking yourself open to be vulnerable and coached in live time with this coach that you've only, been seeing online, and peers you've only been seeing, maybe online. That was a whole new experience for me. And it was, I can't even describe the life-changing experience that my retreats were. So my gears started turning and I started thinking, this is going to be crazy because to my knowledge, it doesn't exist at this time in the coaching industry, but I want there to be a program where my clients who are feeling alone, but actually have so much more in common than they even realize, I want them to get to know each other. I want them to build connection. I want them to be able to create friendship. I want them to be able to hold each other at a higher standard. I want there to be a room where they're not just engaging and agreeing with each other's drama, but they're like really encouraging each other to grow and to see things differently. And I wanted a room where they didn't have drama around what kind of coaching they needed to best serve them. So what I wanted to eliminate from my clients was this idea that they would need to decide between, is one-on-one coaching the best thing for me, or is group coaching the best thing for me, or do I need to find a retreat that might be the best thing for me? And my brain just like literally created this firework experience in my mind. And it was like, I'm going to be the crazy coach that combines all of it into one program, one price that is just ridiculously an underpay, over deliver experience for 6 months of coaching and a retreat. And the hybrid experience was born. And with this program, my clients get my one-on-one coaching time. They get group calls that are structured that focus on very specific topics that I want them to learn after 1.5 to 2 years of studying my clients' biggest problems. And I wanted them to also be able to come together after those 6 months of hard work and meet in person to have the best experience ever, right? To get to actually have that camaraderie and that support and laugh together, cry together, spend time together, get to know each other on a deeper level. I wanted it all for my clients, and that is how the hybrid experience was born. And the important thing too with this is I wanted it to be more challenging than anything I had ever created in the 5 years of being a business owner. So I wanted it to be something that even if a client has worked with me from like the very get-go, I wanted them to come in this room and not have the experience of, I already know this. Macy's already taught this to me. I've been in her world for years. There's nothing else new, that I could probably learn. I wanted those long-term clients that wanted to be in this room to be mind blown, to be stretched, to learn things on a completely different level, to learn new things in regards to emotional intelligence and their mindset. And amazingly, my clients that did do this last round of the hybrid experience that I've had in my world for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, all gave me feedback that it challenged the shit out of them, which is the greatest compliment after working on this program and building it in my mind almost a whole year before it was, able to be truly executed. So it's been an amazing experience, and these women worked really, really hard over the 6 months to enhance their skills, to become more aware, to improve their emotional intelligence, to learn how to be vulnerable, to learn how to get out of their own way, combat limiting beliefs, all the above. Like, we have done really deep work. And within those 6 months, there's been a lot of moments where, clients have said, this call really activated something in my system. I felt triggered by this thing. I need to explore it deeper. And that's the beautiful thing about the structure of the hybrid experience. We coach, every other week as a group on a set topic. But even with those set topics, there can be different things coming up for different people. So after the week of our group call, the next week you meet with me one-on-one. And during that one-on-one call, you get to focus on whatever is coming up for you. So if it's remnants from the group call, we will talk about what came up for you in the group that maybe we didn't get to and you want coaching on it. Or it can be something that is like coming up in your life and you're like, hey, for my one-on-one call, this is what I want to focus on. And so you have a workbook that you utilize throughout the whole 6-month program, and it supports you every single step of the way in thinking at a much deeper level and working on and towards the skills that are important for you to learn to create the life that you really want to live. So this past week, I flew down to 30A, Florida, which is where I have the retreat. It is sandwiched between Destin, Florida and Panama City Beach. It's a beautiful stretch of crystal blue waters. It feels like you're not even in Florida. The Gulf Coast is stunning in that way. The water is clear. You can see the fish, you can see jellyfish, you can see sea turtles, you can see all of these amazing things. The sand is white and powdery and smooth. There's none of those little seashells you're walking on. It's so squeaky clean and pristine that your feet make the craziest noise walking on it. It's just like the funniest thing ever. But basically, I flew down to 30A into this stunning house that I rented right on the water, which was only made possible by the amount of enrollments that, I received in this round. This program is, from the business side, a super expensive program to run. It's not a very profitable program to me, whether you look at the price and you think it is or not. A lot of your investment goes back into the experience that you're going to have between the workbook and your actual retreat experience. So I hired several vendors for the women to make the experience what it was, including a makeup artist to come do their makeup, a photographer, so that they could have their own personal shoot with that photographer for portraits. And whether they're just going to keep them for themselves or they have a business, they now have a whole folder that will be available to them to use to support their business, or if they just want to post, with them on social media, or just keep them for themselves, like however they want to use it, they can. I hired a private chef and we had the most amazing dinner ever. It was so good. I cannot even tell you. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And what was so fun was that the owner of the company actually came to our home to do the dinner, which was such an honor because I go to 30A every year with my best friend, her family, and my grandma. 30A is just a place that we deeply, deeply love. We always love our experience there. And we go to one of the local bakeries, which is owned by this private chef that I hired. But his company, and this is amazing for him, has grown so big that he's not the guaranteed chef that comes to you. I mean, they have, I would say, probably a good 30 to 50 chefs on hand and just a huge team of hundreds of people that run that company and make it possible. So when he came in the door and introduced himself, I knew exactly who he was. And I said, oh my gosh, I love your bakery. We visit it every single time that we come. And he was like, oh, how fitting, because I brought you some goodies, some cinnamon rolls from the bakery, which is the whole reason we go. They're like the best thing ever. So the women also got to indulge themselves in something that I had been bragging about days before. And we all got to enjoy that as a late night treat one night. So photographer came. I also hired a bonfire company, which I ended up getting a lot of feedback that was one of the favorite aspects of the retreat. I did a coaching activity during it, and it brought up so much for the women. It was such an intimate time. There's nothing like sitting right by the beach and hearing the waves crash and, sitting by a warm fire, roasting s'mores, laughing, crying, talking about deep things, sharing your deepest things that you don't always feel like other people in your life may understand. So that was powerful. I also hired a vendor for yoga, and that was just such a challenging and amazing experience as well. So we had a lot of fun things that, we did, and we rode bikes, and we went on the golf cart, and we, went out to brunch. And so many of the women, they also had plenty of downtime to actually enjoy their experience. We didn't just coach all day, every day. They really did get to spend a lot of time talking, going to the beach, floating in the ocean, taking a walk, going shopping, getting, to relax and have downtime, like whatever they wanted to do, there was plenty of time for that as well. It was such an incredible experience. And from the moment that they all started walking in the door on arrival day, it literally felt like they had never been strangers. They had spent 6 months together online, obviously, and I think that created a level of comfort of getting to see each other's faces, which is something I didn't get to experience throughout my own experiences as a client. And it's part of the reason I made the hybrid experience structured the way that it was, where we do the retreat at the end a lot of coaches will do an event at the beginning of a program as a way to like meet each other in person before a program starts. But what I really wanted was the intimacy of meeting each other through the program, getting to know each other through 6 months, and then getting to like pull all of those special, kind of experiences together that you've had online and talk about them and meet together in person. And it worked so beautifully. I'm so glad I trusted my gut with it, because truly they didn't seem like strangers at all. And I think what made this room so special, we were talking about this because, of course, at retreats, if you've never been on one, a lot of times it will bring up, like, I want to say the word, I don't want to use the word triggered per se, but it will activate certain things in you because you get out of your comfort zone, you're away from your family, mind drama pops up, you're having your own internal experiences, and sometimes with that, you might feel triggered or activated by certain things. And that happened, and that's normal at a retreat. There were times where I was triggered as a client on my retreats. I watched other women go through it, and so I knew exactly how to be prepared for if and when that came up. And sure enough, it's normal. It always does. And when it comes up, no matter how many times it comes up or, in what ways that it comes up, what was so powerful about this group was the fact that, and I think it's what sets our room apart from so many other rooms, is that everybody in my container is focused on emotional intelligence and emotional safety and emotional regulation and emotional awareness and mindset, and it's the biggest core piece of what we do. So it didn't matter the hiccups that arised or the challenges that arised. Everybody was team each other, right? It's like we were always team you, even if you were struggling. And it was like no team member gets left behind, right? So even if you're having a bad day, even if you're having an experience that doesn't feel good in the moment, like you are so held and so seen, and we, are just going to sit with you and be with you and work through it as much as you will let us. And it was just such a cool thing to know that there was so much safety created in this experience. There's just nothing like it. It's nothing even like I experienced. I can remember there being, moments at retreats that felt kind of awkward, or, people became like frustrated or angry or had situations come up, and it didn't go as smoothly as it even was able to go in our container. And I think truly the reason is because of the core work that we're doing in our life, where when you can hold space for yourself, you can also hold space for other people. And when you're filling your cup, you can also then pour into other people if their cup is not completely full. So just an amazing, beautiful experience. And by the end of it, the women were crying, like literally in tears, because they didn't want to go back to reality. They didn't want to go back to life. And of course they missed their family and things like that. So it's not to say that they were dreading like going back and seeing their loved ones, but the container was literally so safe. This experience was so safe. And for many of my clients, the biggest things that I've heard them say is, I don't actually have friends. Like I have maybe childhood best friends, or I have acquaintances, but I don't have a room of women that truly get me, that truly understand me, that truly understand the work I'm doing on myself to, save me from myself, to improve my marriage, to get a better job or career, to start a business, to be a better parent, to, just go after my dream. I don't have a room of people that sit with me and encourage me and challenge me and encourage me to level up. And I had it in this room, and I don't want it to be over. I don't want this to go away. And so several of them will actually be coming back. So if you do decide that you want to be in the next round, you'll actually get to meet some of them, which is so exciting. They're amazing. You'll love them, and we will love having you. But that was just an encouraging thing, because for me as a coach, you just never know. You're getting a house full of quote unquote strangers together and women, and it can be very normal that there, can maybe feel like a disconnect that would be, to be a little bit expected. And it wasn't like that at all. Like they really did just create the most amazing friendships with each other and will truly be bonded for life, which I told them at the beginning of the program. I said, look around, these are more than likely going to be your sisters that you're bonded with forever, even if it doesn't feel like that yet. And that was exactly what happened by the end of the retreat experience, and everybody was kind of sad to leave each other and go home. They were all trying to get me to figure out like how I could make us stay a whole extra week. And I think that's such a compliment when you really do want to stay in a place because you're being so filled up that you wouldn't want to leave. So this experience was a dream. And it was worth every single moment. I was telling them, when you're an entrepreneur and you're launching something and you don't know if it's going to work the way that your brain has, designed it in your head, there's a lot of feeling like ass as an entrepreneur. And I told them my biggest secret is that I'm willing to feel like ass every single day. Like, that's just the truth. As an entrepreneur, I have to be willing to feel it. When I create something, I never know if 0 people are going to buy it, right? 2 people are going to buy it, 20 people are going to buy it. And I have to practice emotional intelligence throughout the entire experience from start to finish, and even executing it for, the people that are going to be in it, or, holding my emotional safety in my body when things don't look like they're maybe going the way that I want them to, or even when they are, and new challenges arise. So, this is the room where you learn how to feel like ass and create the life and experiences you still really want for yourself. So that could be anything. And what I would tell you is that it really doesn't matter what kind of challenges you bring to this room. Maybe you want to be more present as a parent. Maybe you want a stronger marriage. Maybe you're in the wrong marriage and you don't know what that looks like moving forward. Maybe you are wanting to build a business or wanting to be successful and consistent in the work of building a business. Maybe you want a full-blown career change and you don't know what that looks like. You want, better relationships, stronger relationships. You want to heal from things you've been through. It really doesn't matter personally or professionally what you've got going on. As long as you are in a place where you truly want to work on it, you're done with your own bullshit, right? If you're done with that and you want a room where people are going to get you and understand you and hold you up as you're doing all of this challenging work, let me just tell you, the hybrid experience room is for you. And there is no better time than to get in right now if it has been feeling like the right thing for you, or if it's been sitting on your spirit. We would love to have you. So we will start October 3rd. Enrollment, again, closes September 23rd, which is this coming Saturday. There's 5 days left to get yourself in the door if you're listening to this podcast when it's released. And your retreat will be in more than likely late February, early March of 2024. It's always tentative until enrollment closes because I have to, put down deposits on the house. Like, there's so much planning that happens right now for it to be executed at the level we want it to be 6 months from now. It's a lot of work for me as an entrepreneur. And so the sooner that you're able to sign up, the sooner I'm able to even give you answers of like where we're going to be, what it's going to look like, what kind of, things we're going to be able to do. But I promise you, I will work my hardest to make it the most amazing experience. And with that, this next round, something that I did differently is I have the regular enrollment, which is what everybody did the first round because that's all that existed. But this second time, you have an opportunity where you can upgrade your package. You can come and do what I'm calling a VIP package. It's not because you're better than anybody else, right? It just has some extra perks. So you'll get to come to the retreat longer and earlier than anybody else. And we're going to do something fun for our highest self. We're going to go on a yacht excursion as long as I can sell out those spots. So we have 4 spots left. And if that is something that you've always wanted to do, you've wanted to experience a yacht, I'm going to be hiring a chef to come on board with us. And we're going to mastermind in that small little group, myself and anybody else that does it. You'll get a bonus gift in your welcome package. And I feel like there's one more thing that I am forgetting, but I can't remember what it is. But you can learn all about it at macyrenee.com. So if that package speaks to you, just make sure you scroll down on the hybrid experience sales page and click the VIP option if you want to do that. Again, there's 4 spaces left to be able to do that. And if that's not your jam, if that's not something that you're interested in, you can just do, the regular enrollment, and that's still an amazing experience as well. So it just kind of depends if you're like, I'm going to treat myself, right? And go on this yacht because I've always wanted to do it, or add that on my bucket list, or, cross that off my bucket list. Or, if not, that's okay too. I just wanted to let you know it's available. So thank you so much for listening. I want to say, if any of my clients go back and listen to this episode, thank you so much for being a participant of it and, being a part of what made the program so successful and so amazing. It's because of who you are as individuals and your willingness to work on yourself and to hold space for other people. It wouldn't be what it is without you. And so, I just appreciate all of you so much. And for those of you that are doing the next round, I can't wait. And for those of you that are new to me, or maybe you're not new to me, maybe you're a client that's worked with me in the past and you're ready for the next challenge, you're ready to put yourself in the room, I can't wait to have you again. If I've had you before, or if I've never met you, I can't wait to meet you. So again, enrollment closes in 5 days on September 23rd at midnight Pacific Standard Time. So if you're Eastern time, I guess you can sneak in a little bit later, technically on the 24th, but try not to wait that long. I will see you in there. I cannot wait. This will be life-changing. Oh, and make sure you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, or you're on my email list. I have been posting the ladies' testimonials. So if you don't just want to hear it from me and you want to hear what their experience was like from their lens, which I think is so valuable, go check out their little testimonials, which a lot of them are less than 2.5 minutes. So it's worth the listen. All right, you guys, thank you so much for indulging me and sharing what this experience was like. I have enjoyed every single aspect of it, and I can't wait to do it again. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. If you'd like to connect on social media, you can find me on both Instagram and Facebook at Macy Renee Coaching. And if you want to stay up to date on all of my offers, announcements, and inspirational emails, you can join my email list at macyrenee.com. In addition, if there's a way that I can further support you in your coaching journey, you can schedule a free 60-minute consult at macyrenee.com anytime you want, so we can discuss the best options for you. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.